Peace, family. Peace. So glad to be here today. Peace, family. Let a few people tap in.
Peace. All right, everybody. Peace. Welcome back. Oh shoot, Keon, I was asleep. Excuse me, I was asleep earlier, y'all. My bad. We had a birthday party today. One of our students. It was her birthday, so we had a little pizza party and stuff, and I kind of took me a nap. But again, thanks for being here with us today. We're gonna discuss the first part of the Spirit of Intimacy by Sobonfu Somé, which was, it's been interesting. I like reading because I like learning new things, but specifically as it relates to, African relationships and the techniques and methods used to keep them sustainable and just the principles behind them is the forward and the first chapter has been good. So I hope you all had a chance to read or listen to it on the audio.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So we're gonna start with check-ins. So I guess I could check in first. Uh, my week has been going well. Uh, everything is good, and I'm look forward to this study session.
Oh, yes, me as well. Everything's been good, always working on things in the process. But yes, all in all, things are good this week. So just like I said, glad to be back on the study session and picking up on another book that we can complete together. So thank you for tapping in.
I say, make sure you like, share. We want you to respond in the comments. We want some activity. But make sure you guys go to the Mad Liberation Education YouTube page, like some stuff, uh, subscribe to it. Let's get this visible to other people. The more our core likes and shares and comments, the more other people will get involved. The more they will see that we consistent and that we're gonna continue to do this. And let's get it done. Uh, so again, the book that we chose for this round, we just finished the book Ritual by Malidoma Patrice Somé, which is the husband of Sambonfu Somé, the book we're reading now. So you'll definitely see some similarities within the books because they are from the same place. So when they talk about home, when they talk about the tribe, um, you will see similarities.
Hmm? All right, so the forward. Again, as Bamani said, they're from the same tribe, the Dagar tribe from Burkina Faso, West Africa, and their teachings are pretty much the same because they came up under the same principles and elders and things of that nature. But the forward is basically talking about how relationships are looked at as a personal fulfillment in with the Dakar people. It's about, is this person making you better for the community and for the world, not just for yourself? So over here in the West, we get into relationships, but like she said, we keep it private. It's like this is our own thing. We're doing this separately. We don't want nobody in our business, that type of thing. And that's not the way they live over there. So and over here, we're necessarily probably not even making each other better for nobody else. It's just our personal ego thing that wants to be fed, and it's not about anybody else. So that's what I personally got out of the forward.
Yeah, and again, just taking knowledge from indigenous communities and trying to take that knowledge and apply it to our lives now. Again, Brother Maladoma talks about how where he's from, the sense of time is different. When he came to the West, it's always a sense of urgency, a sense of go, 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 go. So what we're trying to do is, and there's one of the common themes that we see coming out of indigenous cultures and their teachings is to slow down. Is to slow down. So one common theme that we'll see throughout these chapters is slow down. Let's do some thinking. Let's do some things that are beneficial to our spirit. Let's do some things that are beneficial to the community, to the family, versus like Z was talking about, versus having that self-ego aspect, right? So the decisions that we make, including relationships that we build, are for the betterment of our community, of our tribe, of our family, of our nation. And if we bring those, uh, if we bring those principles and philosophies into our society now, I think that would help us through some of the illness that we suffer from, right? Which is short-term relationships, toxic relationships, not being able to communicate, not being able to interact with each other in a loving way. It makes our relationships almost like business versus something that's building us and the nation and the whole. So we're trying to get rid of that. And with this book, so far, so good.
Yes, I'm gonna look at some of these comments.
It says, I'm just going to listen. I don't have the book yet. Do y'all have the ebook or hard copy? Yeah, if you go to the Facebook post that I posted in the group, the book is actually on YouTube. And the chapters are really short, 15 minutes or less each chapter. So, yes, I posted the link. And that's the beautiful thing about this book is that you don't have to have the physical copy because somebody took the time to read the book for us on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe to that page also.
And again, it's on the previous post on the M.A.D Liberation page where we did post a link to the audio book.
Peace and power, Keon. We got you. Like we said, man, we've been super, super, super tied up. But we could definitely tap in after this call. We want to get through this book real quick, but we could tap in after this call. All right, Santi. All right. So I guess yeah, so the forward she just talks about, and again, one of the things that uh this book is that it's not meant to be read in some type of chronological fashion. So it's knowledge in here, and like they said, like she said, it's for us to piece it together. It's for us to make sure that we're getting the knowledge and applying it, right? And it's not some type of roadmap for us relationships and intimacy, but it is to provoke some thought, to provoke some action, so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to use this book for, and hopefully it enhances us in our intimate relationship. So hopefully we're able to pull some knowledge from it. Again, the books that we read here in this group, uh, we don't necessarily subscribe to the book. So we don't believe everything that's in the book. We take it, we analyze it, and we use the things that are for us. But this book, so far, what I've read and from what I understand, it'll be a lot of things that we'll be able to pull from this to benefit us. So again, you want to show them the book, say the name of the book.
No. All right, the book is The Spirit of Intimacy by Sobonfu Somé. Again, these are the it says ancient African teachings and the ways of relationships. And she is speaking, just like our last book by Maladoma Patrice Somé, they're speaking from their perspective, growing up in, like I said, their village and their tribe and the way they view relationships. And not just intimate, not just intimate ones. And intimate ones just doesn't have to be with a spouse or something. You have those with your friends and all of that. So they're just talking about making these intimate relationships and not just making it about the individual people. It's about the community. Are we pouring so much into each other that we're doing great things outside of us and making our, children better, the next mother better, the next father better, things like that. So that's the perspective that I see they're coming from, especially from the last book we read to this one. It's pretty much the same as they speak. But I did want to share this little section here as we were talking about how they don't view relationships as individual things. It's not an individual endeavor. But it says here, in a relationship, there is a natural tendency for the spirits within two people to come together. When two spirits can commune and really share at the deepest level without having the mind interfere, the two people are bonded in a very strong, sincere, and loving way. When spirit is taken away, then we let our ego take care of relationship problems or simply overshadow them in order for us to feel good. As a result, we may think that we are in control of ourselves and our relationships, but in fact, we are not, as we are bound to find out when things start to fall apart. That was the end of that. But yes, so I thought that was yeah, this is the first chapter. It's like the second, third page.
No, that's chapter 2.
Oh, I didn't went to chapter 2, y'all. But anyway, since I turned to it earlier because I think it was it jumped out at me, but it makes sense that when you do things from an egotistical way, how it's bound to kind of bound to fall apart or bound to have issues because it's not this world and all that stuff is not about us as just one entity. So I thought that was very profound because it makes sense. Like I said, we see that we have an issue with keeping black families together and keeping black relationships together and communicating with each other and all that stuff. And it is it's plentiful. We do have a lot of black families out there that are thriving, but we know that, let's keep it real. As a people, we have issues with that. We have issues with relationship stability. And I think this book is gonna, kind of help us, even though she said it's not a roadmap to that, but I think we can use some of these methods in our relationships.
Right, and just adopting some of the indigenous ways. As we know, relationships, things are different under colonization than they are under our own free will, right? So one thing that they talked about is when the youth leave these rural areas, specifically the Gara area, they go to the cities and they come back with these different sense of how to look at relationships and how to look at intimacy. They come back tainted with the fast pacedness of the city, of even the city in Africa, even the cities in those areas. They come back with different ideologies, and they aren't able or they aren't willing to continue the old ways, right? So that's one of the conflicts that she talked about in the book. She talked about the changes that happened under colonization, but she also talked about how they were able to keep a lot of their ways under colonization. They were able to keep the old ways. They were able to continue to practice ritual. They were able to continue to have the ceremonies like they had, like their ancestors passed down to them. But like she said, as people leave, they either don't come back or they don't come back with the same spirit that they left with, the willingness to continue these rituals, these ceremonies, which in turns, right, if you're not doing your rituals and ceremonies, in turns, it kind of tears the fabric of what this tribe has built over these years apart, right? And we have that same problem kind of like here in the West, where our youth go off to college and they come back educated. They come back with a bougie mindset. They come back, or they don't come back, right? Or they go off and they say, I'm too good for Alabama. I'm too good for Mississippi. I'm too good to go back to my little country or to the hood. So they go off to Atlanta. They go off to these big metropolitans, and they just become one of the many uh, people that are participating in the rat race. So again she starts off talking about just the feel of the tribe, how things are slowed down, how the old ways are prevalent. She talks about how it still takes all day to get to the capital. She talks about some of the problems that we see over here in Western culture of the tribe, right? Uh, and again, if you read Ritual with us, it sounds the same because they're from the same place. So he's described and she's both described the Dakar people and their way of life.
Hmm. And then the concept of, like we said, time and just moving to these areas outside of our indigenous teachings and our indigenous ways of life. Moving to, like I said, the cities. The, I have them in my family. I have my brothers. They probably will never come back to Alabama because they don't see the benefit, of being in the South versus being in California, where everything is right there for you. But also, when everything is right there for you, when it's taken away from you, you are lost.
Yeah.
And that brings other problems. That brings mental issues. That brings all kind of, stuff into your life. But that's why we definitely, like I said, reading books like this, teaching our children as well, because they're going to be the ones who have to go off and experience new things, which we want them to do, but we also want them to stay grounded. We don't want them to go somewhere and somebody makes fun of them making this soup for the winter because this is what has kept our family from getting sick all this time. But you got your little city friends making fun of the ingredients you putting in there. Like, what you doing with this? That we can go just up the street and get some food real quick. We don't have to cook all this stuff. So it's just about staying true to your culture and your principles, which I see in their writing. Like I said, their writing together is linear because they're on the. You can tell they came from the same place. You can tell they were, like I said, raised by the same people and elders and children and this their way of life just by the way they write. And that's a art on its own is writing. So that's part of their culture as well, is the oral tradition of telling these stories. So we are appreciative of that, and I hope that we all recognize that and get something out of it, and we apply it to our daily lives.
Most definitely. At the beginning, she talks about the understanding of intimacy, and the quote or the part she says primarily, she says understanding of intimacy, primarily a practice ordered by the Spirit or authorized by the Spirit and executed by someone who recognizes that she cannot by herself make happen what she has been invited toward. So again, just like Brother Malidoma, uh, this shows that everything we do has a consequence spiritually, right? Or everything we do is influenced by the Spirit. And for us to, in order for us, the understanding of intimacy is us acting upon what the Spirit wants us to do. So again, just connecting with somebody, the marriage, being intimate, that's something that is spiritual, right? And if we don't recognize the spiritual aspect of it, we'll continue to have these toxic experiences with our relationships, right? Uh, yeah. So I wanted to share that. She opens with that, just us understanding what intimacy is. Um, the next part she talks about nature. I guess she talks about nature, and she talks about the Dakar tribe and their relationship with nature. And I think that's a common theme between indigenous communities also. It's just their cohesiveness that they have with nature and their partnership and how they're inspired by nature to live. Uh, and she has a quote in there. I don't necessarily have the book or the quote right now, but she just talks about the cohesiveness of nature with indigenous tribes. Uh, which is pretty cool. And again, a common theme within African spirituality or just within African centeredness is our love for nature, how we use nature. We talk about the Haitian Revolution, we talk about voodoo, we talk about the spirituality systems. Everything involves nature and the respect for nature, right? We are one with nature. We use nature. Nature benefits us, and vice versa. Uh, the next part she talks about is, you want to.
Yeah, I was just gonna hit on the nature part. I'll read this small little excerpt here. And it says the element earth is responsible for our groundedness, our sense of identity, and our ability to nurture and to support one another. Water is peace, focus, wisdom, and reconciliation. Mineral helps us to remember our purpose and gives us the means to communicate and to make sense out of what others are saying. Fire is about dreaming, keeping our connection to the self and to the ancestors and keeping our visions alive. And nature helps us to be our true self, to go through major changes and life-threatening situations. It brings magic and laughter. So those are all of the elements that the Nagara people hold to high esteem. You know, usually have the earth, air, water, fire, but they have nature and mineral added to theirs.
That's right. So just about leadership, you know, she talks about leadership within their community. She talks about how no chief has ultimate authority. There's no chief that makes all the decisions. The decisions are put upon the Central Elder Committee or the Central Elders Council. And I guess we could talk a little bit about that. You know, again, here in the West, man, I fiend for some elder councils. You know, we continue to call the police. We continue to harm each other because we don't have the resources. We don't have our tools. We have our tools within our community, but we fail to utilize them. And something like an elders council that can benefit us immensely because we can bring our issues to the council, and through their wise, through their wisdom, through their experience and their years, they'll be able to help us through these issues, right? And this is a fact. This is something that's been going on for thousands of years. So, so yeah, the elders oversee the village without a sense of requiring wealth and power. So again, this is not a position that you get into uh, that you get this power and you make these decisions and it's like authoritarian. You know, it's not like that. They talk about how most of the elders don't. You know, they have to be. You know, they have to go kind of force them to be on a council because it's not desirable. Like I say, you have to be accessible 24 hours a day. You have to be initiated to even be considered a part of this council. It's just, you know, so they kind of have to court people in to be a part of this council if they need to replace somebody. And like Z said, there are five elements that the Dakar tribe hold at high esteem or close to home. And on the elders council, there are two people that represent each of those elements. There's a man and a woman that represents each of those elements. And if a woman were to pass and she was a water element, they would need to replace her. And how they would replace her, the council gets together and they go to the other initiated elders and they try to bring them in, right? But like Z said, each element is represented by two people, and she went over the elements: earth, water, mineral, and fire, and nature. And each of these have different associations with it, and that's what those elders are responsible for, uh, as it relates to the elements. So again, you know, we're seeing. You want to go?
Oh no, I was agreeing with you.
So again, we're seeing how African centeredness can work for us over here. We see how our indigenous communities communicated, interacted with each other. We see some of their systems that they had in place. And again, uh, you know, we aim here in the West to adopt some of these ways to kind of heal some of our trauma that we have. You know, so just, you know, fantasizing about having the elders council, at least within the movement. Uh, you know, let's hope to be able to get that one day. Uh, but yeah.
Right, and this last part is where she talked about the benefits of having, you know, a big family. I don't want to say quote unquote, but a village. You know, a true village that everybody is doing their job. They know what their job is first of all, and their purpose. Let's call it their purpose. We're not even calling it their job, but they know what their purpose is, and they have to be initiated into that purpose as well. But all of these, like I said, these intimate relationships that she's talking about, they're helping the bigger picture. None of these relationships that are being made are for personal gain. And the people of the Dagara tribe go into relationships knowing this. They go into relationships looking for this. Like two people are just not getting married because they quote unquote love each other. It's like, what kind of resources are you guys going to bring to each other? What kind of resources are you going to bring to the village? Because if you're going to keep it to yourself, then keep it to yourself and move on to somebody who you spark with that are going to, help us do this thing. But also, she said, the good thing about having a big family is that each day you can go spend time with whoever you wanted to. So, like you said, I'll spend time with my uncle on this day, and my other uncles won't be upset because they're happy that I'm going to get the resources that I need from this uncle. Because the next 2 days I'll be over here with this uncle or this auntie or grandma. So I just want to read this little part. It says the concept of the big family is really helpful. I remember when I was a kid, I had the choice of a different father every day depending on my mood. So if I wanted one of my uncles to be my father for the day, I will focus all my attention on that person and ignore the other. And the others wouldn't take it personally because they saw it as an opportunity for me to decide what I want. This also allows a large number of people in the village to acknowledge the child and to see her or his spirit.
I say, and that comes on the heels of the extended family. So within the Guard tribe, everybody is extended family. So she talks about how the uncles are it's they're considered the fathers. The aunties are considered the mothers. It's not uncommon for the children to call their aunties mama, their uncles baba. It's not uncommon for them to call their cousins their brothers. What I'm saying, their sisters. She said it's disrespectful to say that's my cousin. That's my brother. That's my sister. And like Z just said, the children had determination on who they gave their energy and received energy from that day, because it's the village. I want to go chill with my other, my fishing pops over here. He finna take me fishing. We going on a boat. And then the next day she may be at home chilling with another energy, so on and so forth. But that's the extended family. And that's something that we should practice and can practice over here. It's just making sure that we act as such. So if this little child recognizes you and looks at you as mama, I'll be damned, you should act as such. What I'm saying? You should make sure you care, showing concern and so forth for that child. So I think that, me and Z in our small village that we have, we kind of embody those principles, and they are very important. How do we look at our village? How do we identify our village? So on and so forth.
But that was the last part officially of chapter 1, where she talks about the extended family. So these chapters are pretty short. So I think we're going to read chapter 2 for sure. I always encourage, to read ahead, but not too far ahead. But I think we can do chapter 2 and 3 for this week because they are short chapters. So yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Take notes, as you read. When things pop out at you, like I said, I ended up in chapter 2. I ended up in chapter 2 earlier today, as it was talking about the, building relationships for the whole versus individually, but that'll be in chapter 2. But but yes, definitely, like I said, these little things that pop out at you, or that jog your brain, definitely write it down. Write down questions, write down comments, things that you may not agree with, because we are over here in the Western civilization. We have a whole different way of thinking because we have a colonized mind. So a lot of things that they talk about as far as relationships and intimacy is like sometimes we can't even wrap our mind around what they're saying because we're not used to sharing. Let's just be real. We're not used to sharing our intimate love and our folks like that. So a lot of things are going to be hard to break through logically. So I just want us to be mindful of that. Also be open-minded because we do come from here too. We are children of the diaspora, so we come from all over. I think that's one advantage that we do have in the children of the diaspora. We can be from any damn where. You feel me? We can connect ourselves with all of our African foundations. So yes, again, chapter 2 and 3, we will be reading. Write down comments, questions, concerns. Feel free to post on the page as well if y'all come up with anything as it refers to this book and some of the things that she's talking about here, and we can get further information on. Please post videos, articles, all of those things. So yes,
Say, yeah, definitely being open minded, being able to receive what the spirit has to tell us. A lot of times it's probably an African proverb that it's associated with this, but a lot of times, in the hood, man, will the drunk, the local alcoholic, the local drunk, the local wino will be at the park talking, 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 talking. And I've learned that if I listen to that wino, right, and I can pull out jewels out of all the shit that he's saying. I could pull out some jewels. He didn't talk to me for a whole hour, but that one sentence he said right there is what affected me. You know what I'm saying? So again, just being able to pull out jewels and diamonds and what people are saying. Sometimes I don't agree with folks. I may watch it live or something like that, and I'd be like, man, this man talking BS. But I can't agree with that line right there. I can't agree with this part of your analysis, but everything else I don't agree with. So just being able to pull those things and analyze them and use them for the betterment of ourselves is what we need to do. Again, these chapters are short.
And she writes in sections, so I mean it's easy to read because of the way she writes them. They're like in small little excerpts, where you could go ahead and read it like that. And again, it's like you said, we don't have to read it in chronological order, I don't think. So we kind of personally, let's flip back and forth through it if you like. But as our assignment, though, like I said, we're going to stick with chapter 2 and 3 to do that part. And like you said, getting our gems and going out into life, like you just said, when you see these people talking that maybe as the world calls Les Miserables, but they know, a drunk can keep you from being drunk, turn into one. Trust me, they know, they pretty much know what got them there. So yeah, so let's be like I said, let's always what we read and let's try to apply the gems to our everyday life. The worst that could happen is we gonna stay right where we at. But the best that could happen is things could get better. So always be mindful of that part. Being a student of life at all times.
I say. So I guess next week we may be on a little longer. We have more subject, but I mean that's it. I mean we had a substance filled discussion. I'm definitely feeling like a part of the tribe as far as the Dakar people because we've learned so much between these two books already on their life and how they're living. So I definitely appreciate that. Uh, so let's do it. Let's continue. Let's read this book. Let's knock it out. Let's apply some of these things that we can pull from this book to our relationships, our future relationships, and be able to mend and be able to heal. And, let's get free. So, again, I thank everybody for hopping on. Asantiwa, Keon, everybody else who will eventually see this. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Again, make sure y'all check the group. And, the whole book is on Facebook. The sister reading it to us so we can listen to it while we functioning throughout the day. Take some notes, take some notes, take some notes. We're going to convene here back on Tuesday.
Okay. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Peace, peace, family, peace. Let's see what we got.